what I want us to know is this very situation is just a crossover to normality. Okay, we have abnormality and then we have normality. You can always cross each border and then be at either sides of life. Now, there are some signs and symptoms that we can say, or warning signs that you can see or even experience yourself and know that no, things are not normal for me. And some of these factors are you realize that you, as a happy person, suddenly will now turn to having prolonged sadness. Then you can also be easily angered. That's irritability. You also realize that you are socially withdrawn. Normally, this is where the personality traits play a key role. If you are an introvert or an extrovert, you need to know when you come to ask for assessment, there is a parameter under a Clarkin assessment that we call pre-morbid personality, simply meaning that what is your personality prior to the illness? Are you an introvert or an extrovert? We want to assess that. And then if your personality has changed, if you are the happy type, an extrovert, and all of a sudden you try to be an introvert, you lock yourself in the room, you don't want to join family gatherings or even go out to meet your friends. You used to party a lot, but all of a sudden you prefer to be indoors. You don't even want to take care of your personal hygiene. You prefer being indoors. You don't see the need to even take your bath or brush your teeth. You are not even able to detect smells, perceive them. Whether you are smelling or not, you are just indoors in your room. You don't even it doesn't even strike you because then you've lost interest. You don't see the need for you to do that. So there's a loss of interest over there. You also realize that you have changes in your sleep patterns. Okay. And then your eating habits changes. If you are the type that eats less, you can do more. If you are the type that eats more, you can even lose appetite and wouldn't even want to eat. So there are changes in your eating pattern and your sleeping pattern as well. You also do have difficulty to concentrate in life. Your memory goes down, your concentration also goes down. And then you also tend to be anxious. You become anxious. The fear of the unknown because you don't even know what will happen to you the next moment. But all these things might not be real. Though we are anxious with certain events, you realize that this particular disorder, what makes it a disorder is that there is no fear. Whatever you are even scared of is not there, it's not real. But you are thinking there is something you should be afraid of. Yes, that makes it anxiety disorder. You can also go through that type of a fear, which is known as anxiety. You can also have suicidal thoughts, recurrence of suicidal ideations. Some people even go the further way to even commit or attempt it. We normally don't want to show the type of attempt of suicide because it's not really healthy. So you realize that some use certain forms of suicidal ideations in the attempt because people tend to go and practice it when we put it out there. Yeah, so we normally try to put a disclaimer at that particular listing. You can also tend to have delusions where you misinterpret any actions of people or living with you or things you see around. That's when you see people, two people talking, and all you say is they are talking about me. People living in a compound house, you realize that every day they are fighting because when they see two people talking, they are believing that it's about them. You even be watching television and you realize that whatever you are watching on the telly, normally when there are this war news and stuff, you even feel like the war is about you or whatever is going on the television, the people there are coming for you. These are all delusional thoughts, which are not real. Okay. And then we also do have changes in your sex drive. Normally, with the bipolar patients, you realize that there's a sexual changes in their drive. There's a sexual drive change. Realize that they normally tend to have a higher libido where they always want to have sex. And so at each and every point in time, whoever they get, they would want to give in and satisfy their drive at that moment without thinking of the consequences. So this is also another thing you can feel or see. Not only you, but people around you. When you see things of that nature, then you should know that the person is actually suffering from a disorder and might need an assessment to see if truly it is a disorder or a personal lifestyle. So these are the very few signs and symptoms we can see. And then to top up, we have the psychotic signs and symptoms. The disorder moves into a higher stage where you see the person stripping naked. This normally happens with the manic mania type of disorders where they become destructive. That is when you see them destroying things in their vicinity. They can destroy their televisions. They can even pull down this fan because when it happens like that, they have a very high energy. There's dopamine production, as we said. It is imbalance of neurotransmitters in the brain. So depending on which type of the disorder you have, that is how the symptoms go. Those who are manic, they tend to have high energy. So they are able to be destructive and then destroy things around them. It's not their fault. It is the illness that is making them do that. They also become verbally aggressive. Someone that used to be more respectful and quiet in the family now tends to be verbally aggressive, insulting everybody who comes across his or her way. And then we also do have the physical aggression, where they would want to fight you. An introvert, we all know in the family, doesn't even want to hurt a fly at that point in time, would even hold your neck and strangle you to death if you are not careful. That is how high their energies can go. Yes, so you even tend to hallucinate. Another point is hallucination. Yes, you can see the person sitting and talking to him or herself. And when you go and probe more, you realize that he or she will tell you he or she is talking to somebody which you cannot see or hear. That's an auditory hallucination. We have types of hallucination. And then we do have the visual hallucinations where they tend to see their family members who are even dead and gone. But you that you are normal, you might not see it, but they will see and describe for you. And you know that, oh, maybe this is auntie or uncle who is dead and gone, but you will not see it. That is the realm that the neurotransmitter has moved them to. But they are all not real. They are all hallucinations. Okay. So these are all someone can also just sit down and start laughing inappropriately at a situation that is not something you should laugh about, at a sad situation, maybe at a funeral. You see the person at a funeral and then seated and laughing throughout the burial service, which is not normal. And then you can also see somebody just seated and then crying at a ceremony that is supposed to be joyous. Maybe at a wedding, we have tears of joy, though, but then this one comes more with a crying spell. You normally, someone you know to be lively, all of a sudden at events, you follow the person and you realize that the person normally starts having crying spells in bits, cries a little, wipes off anything that comes, he or she would want to cry out of the thing. That is a form of, that one pushes more into depressive patients. They exhibit that form of symptoms. Yeah. And then you can see somebody also who also do have this over familiarity. Someone who is shy and wouldn't want to even greet about two or three people in the family. Now we see you early morning and start to give you high five. And then anyone around who she doesn't know or he or she might not know. There's an over familiarity with that kind of person. So you wonder, is that AC? Is everything all right with AC? So that becomes questionable. These are all little signs you can see and then tell that no, this person needs an assessment. You realize that the person tends to play through once. Okay, someone that wakes up early and gets to work. By the time you come, she had already reported cleaning up or in his or her office, waiting for the day's activity. All of a sudden, doesn't want to come to work. You get to work and you realize, oh, where's AC? She's not on by her desk. Is everything okay? This thing happens continuously for a week or for some days. You call her today, she's like, oh, she's giving you excuses. Oh, my son was sick, so I had to rush my son to the hospital. But you realize that within the same week, within the 2 days of the same week, she has repeated the same behavior or the same type of truancy. She's not at work, she's either late, then you realize that no, there's something wrong with time. But then normally with this diagnosis and stuff, it comes with duration. Yes, so it depends on how long you have been so observant of that particular person for her playing that truancy in the workplace. Okay, so truancy is one key sign you can use to detect that there is something really going wrong with the person. And then right now, you can also come to production, where the willingness of the person to work also comes into play. You realize that people are even proactive. You see a very proactive person who now tends to be, I don't want to use the word lazy, but then the person becomes, I don't care, sort of, not willing. The interest is gone. She has no reason to explain herself, but she just doesn't feel like I have to work. She comes to work, she's playing, how do you call this? She's pulling back. She doesn't want to be involved in the activities in the office and all that. But you don't know the person to be that type. That also raises an eyebrow. And then isolation also plays a key role at the workplaces. Yes, if the person is someone who would even come and call you and knock at your desk. Oh, yeah, let's go for lunch. But you realize that it's time for lunch and then she's still fixed at her desk. Okay? You rather now go and check on her. And this happens continuously for some couple of days. You realize that no, there is something wrong with my colleague. And then maybe she'll be there and then she would want to be alone rather than coming amongst you to chat during break or something. She'll prefer to be indoors and lock up and even tell you she doesn't prefer any food. She'll be okay. When she goes home, she'll eat. You don't know the person to be that type. You should also know that there is something wrong. That is where the appetite changes also proves a key sign there for you to be cautious of. And then verbally, still at the workplace, you realize that the person becomes over familiar, verbally aggressive, okay, and then also can even go physically aggressive at work. So at the end, you realize that he or she doesn't become productive at work. She's truant and all that. Then you should know that there is a problem with the person, either at home or personal issue of that matter.